YSN. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Austintown, the home of the Austintown fireworks celebration. Pretty ironic. We are joined at this time. Just had Hanford Dixon, Louis Lips from the Steelers and the Browns, and ladies and gentlemen, this time probably the highlight for me at this juncture, the two-time state champion softball coach Stephen Ward for the 38th time in the last 2 weeks on YSN. Let's give it up for the head ball coach, the guy that we're all here for right now. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. I know you don't have to be on call, but you chose to sit down with us, man. Thank you.
Oh, anytime I get a chance to talk to you guys, I never miss that, except when I was walking in and then I saw who was talking before me. I'm like, I have to follow him up? Wow, okay.
Well, you don't need to bark in the microphone, so that's good. That's good. Man, I can't reiterate enough how proud of you and your team we are winning this second state championship. For you, and I know you did an interview with Anthony. I'm going to try to stay away from some of the questions that he did and try to juice it up a little bit. But for you, I mean, was it old hat or was it like, hey, we did this before, now we're going to prove that we're the real deal? This wasn't like a fluke. How was it for you?
Well, I think we went in, believe it or not, with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. You know, we heard different things throughout the season that maybe this team didn't give us their best shot, maybe this person wasn't there, so our girls just said, okay, bet, we're going to run it back. And that's just it. You saw them come out. We kept the same fun energy no matter what spot we were in, awesome. Whether it was, playing a team that might have had a losing record or playing Watkins Memorial. I mean, shoot, the girls are taking pictures with, I think, the Mahoning Valley camera. Who gives Abby Toth a $3,000 camera before a game? And, I see the other team just looking at us like, what's wrong with them? But that's just us, and that's who we are, and that's the culture we cultivate because, above all, if we're not going to have fun, what's the point? And really, I think some of that gets lost in, the high-level play that these girls do. I think some of that gets lost in all the college recruiting, is that high school, you get an opportunity to play with your friends for 4 years.
Yeah.
What an amazing time. And, I said that over and over and over again is this is a special time in your life. Take advantage of it.
Got to talk to Sid the other night at the All-Star game. She actually interviewed me, which was weird. I don't like being on that side of the camera. But for her, I've always wondered how the conversation went with her calling her own pitches and if it was accepted right away or if it was just kind of like – and then she told me, she goes, no, Coach Ward didn't like it.
No, I didn't. And
walk me through that story.
So, Tommy brings it up first. He's like, Steve, we'd like her to start calling her own pitches. Georgia Tech pitching coach says it'd be good for her. And I'm like, no. And so, call it like a little bit of an old school type of coaching mentality. It's like, I don't want one more thing on your plate. I don't want you to have to be thinking in the circle about this, that, and the third. I want you to just throw. And, so, Sid, the no is a no until she wears you down, and then you get a yes. And so, at practices every day in the hallways and, in the classroom, it's like, hey, Coach, I could do this. And I'm like, I don't doubt that you could do it, but then I started thinking, I'm like, what the heck? Why not? I mean, she's so dominant that, you know what? And she's such an intuitive player. Like, throughout the playoffs, you saw how she fielded her position. It's like you had another shortstop, second baseman right in the circle there with everything that she got. So when we look at that and we look at what Sydney can do, it then, like, I'm like, okay, am I getting in my own way? And something as a coach that I really take to heart is don't screw it up. Like,
sure.
Don't overcoach. Don't try and be the person. Don't try and make it about you. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm being stupid. And talk to the staff. I'm like, I really think this is going to work now.
If we could take the music down just a
once
little bit.
Once the reins came off, that was it.
First game she does it, perfect game, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, and we're sitting there in the dugout because Bobby and I sit together in the dugout and we're talking about that. And we're like, I'm like, dang, what an idiot I am to wait this long. Like, because all respect to our pitching coach, Becky Spalding, she does such a wonderful job. And it's like, but when you see this once-in-a-generational athlete that wants to keep extending herself, wants to keep learning the game, wants to challenge herself in different ways, again, coaches got to get out of their own way. And that's what we did.
I was so impressed with Ayla Ray in so many different aspects. She makes her own name. There's nothing about Ayla that she doesn't do herself. But when you have so many different talented, star-studded lineup like you do, there can be egos that get in the way, and your girl has just pushed everything aside from that standpoint. For you, how hard is it to not make sure, or I guess to make sure that one person doesn't get more attention than the other?
Well, we always start out the season, and we're very honest with the players. Sydney's going to get the headlines. Ayla's going to get the headlines. Coming in this year, those are the kids that are going to get the headlines. They're the ones that are going to get the interviews, unless you do something special in a game and you're going to be the one interviewed. And all credit to you guys, and Ty. They do such a great job in covering all of our girls and making sure all of our girls get post-game interviews. But for us, yeah, it could be very easy, an ego thing. But again, it goes back to all these kids played with each other since 6, 7 years old, that they were little kids, and so they love and respect one another. And again, it's, if you have success, we have success. And that's what it came down to, because at the end of the day, we talked to them, well, do you want a better batting average, a better fielding percentage, or do we want to raise the trophy? And it's a no-brainer on that one.
Game Changer's been something. We're partnered with them, but it has been a really hot topic, especially lately. I want to see my stats. I want to see everybody else's stats. I mean, when you guys don't use Game Changer, correct?
No. I actually got in trouble for that once, because we did use it one year, and it's again, I take our stats very seriously.
Absolutely.
In the sense that I know that there are some people that inflate stats or do things, and for me,
No way.
yeah, for me, it's like, again, I had to have a little bit of control over it. So I'm on the phone doing stats and stuff, and the coach called it out to the umpire and said, hey, he's using electronics. That wasn't allowed during that year. Like, 'cause I'm on third base line doing some things. And so they think I'm like communicating or maybe being a jerk. I'm just texting somebody. I don't know. And so the umpire is like, Steve, you can't, communicate things. I go, oh, I'm just, on Game Changer. And then after that, I'm like, I don't want to get on any more umpires' bad side.
Okay, I never knew that. That is an impressive story. Like, we're hearing stories about parents thinking that they can change the lineup based on the stats and stuff like that because what they see on Game Changer. I was just interested to know, like, what, if any, impact that's had on you or anything like that.
So if something gets scored a different way or something, player, because we encourage our players to talk to us. Don't have mom or dad call me about something. You need to come talk to me, and we have that relationship. So a player will come up and say, hey, coach, I didn't think this was an error. And, okay, hey, you know what? Got you. We're going to take it back to the coaching staff. We're going to look at YSN, if you guys were there for that game.
Oh,
which you were
boy.
Yeah.
We're going to throw them under the bus.
No.
Ty Bartell.
Hey, if Ty says it happened. No. So we'd go look at the game film, and then we'd talk about it, and we'd get back to them in a day or so. And if, they were right about it, okay. If we were right about it, hey, sorry. It is what it is. And actually, we had an error down south. An error, yeah. But we attributed it to one player. And she came up, she's like, Coach, I don't think that was me. So we went to the other player. She's like, oh, yeah, that was my fault, totally. Yeah, put that error on me. I don't mind. And it's just the camaraderie. It's just how much they love and respect one another and what they do at their positions. So, again, for us, we haven't had too much of an issue with it. And, again, when, like, we have Madden-type stats with our team. Like, you're looking up and down the lineup. If you're not batting over 400, good luck trying to, break into the lineup, because it's insane. And when you look at some of the, stats that you throw out, Kayleana Ray as a freshman, 738, 750 on base percentage, like and that's not her just bunting and running it out. Those are some big girl hits that she did. You look at Morgan Roby, 0 strikeouts on a season. I mean, how is that even possible with the pitchers that we've seen? 0 strikeouts and 0 fielding errors for her. I think Ayla only had 1 error. And then you look at, we talked about her. Talk about her being a generational talent as well.
Oh, incredible.
She was #1 in home runs in Division I. And we always knew she could go yard, but I really think her mindset changed when Kayleana, we talked to her, we said, hey, because we like to have discussions with our athletes, and that's the times that we live in. You and I grew up at, hey, shut up, you're doing this.
Yep.
Don't ask me again. Here now, players are more involved in it. So I sat down with Ayla, and I'm like, hey, Ayla, what are your thoughts on this? Because I don't want to disrespect you, because you're a #1 hitter for 3 years in a row, and now I don't want to move you down without us having a conversation. She's like, yeah, I was kind of figuring I was going to get moved down. I'm good with it, Coach. Whatever. You can put me 1, 2. I don't care.
Is she not the most intimidating 18-year-old you've ever met in your life?
Oh, my goodness. Because I get a better look at her because she's the lefty in the box, and you could just see her eyes and her physical demeanor. And I'm just like, Uh-oh.
Heads up in the
That pitcher's in
outfield.
trouble.
They're shooting T-shirts.
I'm sure Renault's had gone toe-to-toe with her before. I do not envy his position.
Let me tell you what, Renaud is not the bulldog. It's Tatum.
Really?
Tatum is tough as all heck. You know, she was an athlete as well. I think she did roller skating, and she was highly competitive.
Oh my
And just, you know what, Tatum is going to just. I don't think Ayla would mess with Tatum.
I am stunned. I mean,
You're
she
learning
was
a
ask-
lot this interview.
yeah. I was asking. She was asking me questions. She asked me like if it's catch or catch, and I'm like it's catch, and her face like scrunched up, and I was like,
You done did it.
I was like, what did I say? Like I offended her with that. So no, I'm just so excited for you. I mean, the culture of softball in this area has changed so much overall. But Fitch has been one of the leaders and taking that baton and running with it. Obviously, 2 state championships. For you, is there, I mean, we've heard of some of the freak athletes you have coming up. And this is not going to end anytime soon. That's got to excite you.
Well, 6 p.m. tomorrow, I'm going to be at the Field of Dreams watching the 10U team play. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll get to see the 12U play. And hopefully both those teams go propel into the state, you know. And then I was fortunate enough to go to Indiana twice and watch the 12U play last year. And, wow, what a time. Well, I mean, again, like you look at the softball times we're living in, and that's something that Ronald Sayers said, you know, or this season was, we're turning Austintown into a softball community. I mean, it is so cool. I had just my Block F Fitch softball shirt on. I'm walking through Giant Eagle, and somebody saw me and goes, hey, that softball team's really good. Oh, yeah, they're pretty special.
That's
they're
awesome.
like, oh, you know, do you have anybody that plays on the team? I'm like, well, I'm one of the coaches. And I'm like, oh, wow, you guys, and just the community members recognizing it, recognizing our players, knowing their names, and asking questions about them. Like, that is so humbling. That is so humbling coming from Austintown, living here. My kids go to AMS and Fitch. It's like just such a surreal, amazing moment. Like, I am so humbled and so proud of this community.
I know we joke a lot, but honest to God, if someone told you this was what would happen when you took this gig, would you have believed them?
No. And, you know, we had some good years, we had some lean years, and, you know, we always kept, you know, saying we're just going to keep building, we're going to keep building, and, man, it just came together perfectly. It's unbelievable. And, you know, I started out coaching football and basketball in 1999. And, you know, from then going into softball where, you know, Melody was the coach for quite a long time. And then we had kids, and one of us had to give it up, and she's just like, I want to be home with the kids. I'm good. And to take her vision and then make it into a reality as well, I mean, it's like a full circle moment.
That's incredible. Sammy?
Yeah, you know, with your coaching approach in particular.
Yeah.
So you've gotten blessed to deal with some generational talents.
Right.
But I've always felt that high school is where the most coaching has to get done because you're dealing with the largest difference, I believe, in talent and where they're at. Development-wise, you are the most important person in development. So what are some of the things that you've run into when you're dealing with somebody who, say, is an All-American player and somebody who's going to come up, but you can see where that girl can get? How do you maintain that approach to keep challenging the girl who's really dominating, but also keep the girl getting developed who you know where she can go?
So for creating challenges, they're high level for a reason. They create their own challenges, and we discussed it out. What are your goals this year that you want to achieve? And so we have that conversation. And when you see a player that is working on it, again, with anything anymore, it's so specialized. Everybody has their hitting coach. Everybody has their pitching coach. Everybody has their catching coach, fielding coach. And again, we don't come in with the approach saying, hey, we're changing everything. What do you do? What does your coach tell you to do? And we're going to work within that framework. We're going to tweak you a little bit, say, okay, well, you know what? We're seeing something. We're going to adjust you a little bit. Let's see what it looks like. And so, again, it's more, you know, this year is we're going to come and meet you, not it has to be our way. So, again, with the physical development, we've been so blessed with just physical. We have kids on our bench that would start in other schools. So, again, the physical is there. Our biggest thing is the mental approach, the emotional approach. And that is the biggest thing that I work on, that our staff works on. So, again, we'll do the physical things. But, again, if we're not connecting with these kids, if we're not raising these kids up, if we're not helping them become one step better in life and understanding the maturity process and understanding who they can become, then the physical side, I don't worry about it so much. I really don't. I care more about their emotional, mental state.
You've touched on a little bit about, the influence of the upperclassmen with Kaliana Ray and others on the underclassmen. How big is that leadership from the top to the bottom, from the upperclassmen to the underclassmen, and then even down to the youth level when they show up to those games and all that and everything?
So two parts to that answer. There's a great book called The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Erikson. And it talks about how it's all shared leadership. Again, you don't want one player to just carry the boat. You want all of your players to have that ownership. So again, I think Abby is a really great leader in the weight room. Like, she's really strong, really intense about it. When you look at, Ayla, what a great leader on the field. When you look at Morgan, what a great vocal leader. So everybody has found their spot to lead. And everybody brings something different to the table, and everybody respects what the other person brings. And that's what makes it so special. But then it's tough for me to say this. I had a conversation with Jerry Goodpasture at one point. And we sat down. We used to be friendly. And leave that there. But he said, Steve, it takes 1 year. If you really put it together for 1 year and have a special group, it's going to trickle down. And so we now know the roadmap to success. We've now traveled that twice. And so all those kids in the Little League, in the youth, in the travel, they're seeing what our players are doing. They're seeing how they act, how they manage themselves, what grades they're doing, because, we talk to the younger kids that academics is where it's going to be. I mean, you look at the colleges that these kids are trying to go to, you can't get in there with a 2.2 average, and you need a pretty good ACT score. So again, it's younger and younger parents and players are seeing what success looks like. And again, success leaves clues. And we're very accessible to anybody that comes to us. So had a coach from Springfield reach out. Hey, coach, can you help us out? We want to do some weight training. All right, cool. We're going to hook you up with Coach Wallace. He's our strength and conditioning coach. When we start back up, come on down, come look. And so again, it's when you're having the level of success, people want to know what it is to get you there, and they're going to find those breadcrumbs. And for us in Austintown, our coaching staff and everybody, we're going to try and leave a whole loaf for them.
He's a legend. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to cut up those sound bites. I mean, that'll last you the rest of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite human beings in the entire world, Mr. Steve Ward. As always, you're amazing, man. Thank you so much.
DJ, you're way too kind. Everything that you've built here, and again, my brother's an entrepreneur.
He's a stud. Corey,
yeah,
shout out.
And unbelievable. I see what he goes through, so I can only imagine what you go through. Day in and day out, you put out a quality product. You have quality people around you, and you know how much we love and respect Ty Bartell and Anthony. It's, it's very special for Ty. Our girls love him being there, and so we truly respect what you do, and we love not just for Austintown, but the entire community, the Northeast region, and I fully believe you're going to keep expanding. So keep it going, brother.
Thank you very much. I'll meet you over in that tent across the way in about 10 minutes. We'll be back right after this on YSN.